Good morning. I thought I'd start this week's Behind the Studio today because I had a pretty eventful day planned, which of course has immediately been railroaded thanks to the furnace not working. And when you live in Ontario in March, the furnace not working, not exactly a great thing. In fact, it's currently -4 outside and it's apparently supposed to feel like -9, so that's great. So I still want to hopefully do what I had planned today, just gonna be a little colder doing it. But basically what I'm planning on doing today is switching around my studio a bit. I knew when I first designed this studio that if I ever got a lot busier or needed the space, that the first thing that would go would be my couch. And replace it with desks, which is what I actually had originally designed in here. So I knew it was possible with the layout I had chosen. So yes, that's what's happening today because I've gotten way too busy. So yeah, I'm not getting rid of the couch, it's just not going to be in this room. So yes, today the plan is to get the couch out, get the desks in, and then just general studio organization, which is desperately needed if you saw certain parts of this room. So this is what we have going on so far in here. As you can see, I got rid of the couch and the table, and I think before I get the new desks in here, I'm going to tackle the bookshelves on the bottom, because as you can see, I have some extra room here that stuff and that shelf that was holding the other end of that desk up doesn't need to be there anymore, so I'm going to see what I can do to maximize the space to fit more books or more storage or whatever. Here's how the shelves are looking. As you can see, I moved the books that were up at the top down, and now I have these two empty spaces at very top half that I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing with yet. They're too small for art books because art books are always massive. So they might just be storage or display. I guess we'll find out as I figure out what works best there. But now on to the desks and the lighting and all of that stuff. And this is what we've got going here so far. So as you can see, there are two desks. I also put a studio light up there, though I'm not sure if that's really going to be staying there, but I'm going to try it out for now and see how that works. This desk is going to be more for painting and drawing, other types of things for me, and that one's more of the heavy construction desk. So it has the mat on it to protect it because I'll be using a hot glue gun, my hot knife, all of that stuff on that one. Yes, I do need to organize. I want to change around some of these cubes that are right in front here, so if I need to use them for storage or whatever, I can. But I think the first thing on the agenda is going to be building this light. There we go, all done. That was actually pretty cool to build, although I love building all IKEA furniture. It's just something I've always loved to do. I always think that if I had an IKEA closer to me, I actually might have worked for them because I just love building IKEA furniture so much. But yeah, this was really cool. It was kind of like a paper craft, although this is like plastic and is just held together by elastics. But yeah, pretty simple and pretty cool. It's been a while since I last updated you guys, so I figured I'd give you a look. This is how things are going. I built this just after I built that light. It's a IKEA hat kind of thing. I had extras of those legs from my flatbed storage, and I kind of did the same idea, just with a small wall shelf. So I just screwed in the legs. They have the plate, so it's really easy modification, just for some extra desk space, I guess you could say. I have the power bar under there that I want to keep up there because I'll be plugging in my glue gun and hot knife into it a lot, and it's just going to be super convenient if it's on the table. And of course that takes up more desk space, so this helps with that a bit. Right now I just have a light on it and my paintbrushes I use for acrylic painting, like if I'm painting armor or whatever, they're the brushes I use. Yeah, that turned out well. I have my hot knife little holder thing stuck to the desk. That's probably going to stay there pretty permanently, just so it's already set up. I moved my iPad Pro out of that cube and put it there. I had the space, and I also use it a lot for reference or music or whatever, so I figured having it out on the desk would be a good thing. I put the light I built in that cube, and then underneath here I put this extra shelf that I had just in my bedroom that I wasn't using, and now it's being used here, which is great. So on the bottom I just have some pour painting stuff in mediums, the Mod Podge that I use for priming stuff. In here, that one's empty right now. That one has popsicle sticks and other pour painting type of accessory stuff. This one has my hot knife and more cosplay things. I know I have some quick seal in the bottom, my spreader things, some sandpaper, just more things that I use for cosplay and armor building. And that is just my hot glue and hot glue gun, all that stuff. So it's out and super convenient for me to just grab from this shelf. But yeah, that's how things are looking so far. And I think the plan for tonight will just be to kind of chill out. It's been a busy day moving all of this and getting this organized, and other than that, I guess I'll just be probably figuring out what I'm doing for this week's artwork. Good morning. Last night I got this week's artwork figured out and sketched out, and right now I figured I'd show you guys what I picked up at Curry's, which for those of you that don't know is a Canadian art store. It's nothing that crazy, so I figured no need to do a big time haul on it, just show you guys in the vlogs what I got. So I picked up 2 more Daniel Smith watercolor colors. I have Quinacridone Gold and Sepia. This has been on my list for a while to get, and this one looked pretty cool to add to my collection. So I'm going to be panning those for my main palette. And then I also picked up Alizarin Crimson and Winsor Violet, which these two are Winsor Newton gouache colors. Because I've been working on my gouache palette, I finally transferred it out of the old palette I had and into a new palette, which I'll show you guys. And I realized that these are 2 colors that I could add to it right away, because for some reason there's actually no dark purple in the set that I already had. And there's also kind of a couple of strange reddish colors, but no kind of standard primary red. So I figured we'd add that to it too. So I'll show you guys how I organize my paints when I get new ones. So one of the very first things that I do when I get a new Daniel Smith paint is I go to my color chart thing. This is the color chart that you can buy that has all of the dabs of paint on it, and I've just turned it into my swatch sheet. So what I do is I take out the sheets from these page protectors, and when I get a new color, I put a little blue dot beside the color name. So got that color the other day, and also sepia. So yeah, as you can see across the chart, there are certain colors that have little blue dots, and they are the ones that I own. That's just how I keep track, and also this is what I do is If I maybe want to add some paint to my collection, or I realize I need a color, I will go and look at this chart, and of course it has all the swatches so I can see exactly what color that paint is already before I buy it. That's why if you're looking into getting into Daniel Smith colors, spending the money on the color chart is a wonderful thing. You could also, of course, actually use the dabs of paint in paintings if you wanted to. Like if you had a small little area that maybe you wanted to use some of the iridescent colors on, you could actually like fully take some of that paint and use it on a painting, not just on the chart. But yeah, so that's the first thing I do. The next thing I do is I go into my little container of extra watercolor pans. As you can see, it's mainly half pans because that's what I use all the time, but there's one full pan left still. I have 2 new paints, so I'm going to take 2 of those out. And then I write on them with a Sharpie, before I put the paint in, what the colors are. So I normally, on the end, like the smaller end, I'll put DS for Daniel Smith, because I have some paint in pans like this that isn't Daniel Smith, like I have professional Winsor Newton colors and stuff. So I normally put Daniel Smith so I know that it is. And then on the sides, I will write the color name. Of course, if it's a big color, I'll come up with some creative nickname for it. I'm pretty sure that the quinacridone deep gold I have, I put Quin deep gold, so this I'll do Quin gold. That was a little tight, and I probably should have not tried to make that one line. Yeah, once I have those written, I literally just empty some of the tube into the pan. Try and make it as even as possible. Some of the colors, and then like just tap it. Some of the colors that are a bit more liquidy go in smoother than others that are a little thicker. Yep. So there's sepia, and then I just leave it somewhere where I'm not going to touch it or it's not going to get hit to harden up, and then it'll go into my normal watercolor palette that I use in videos all the time. There's that one. And then once I have those into the pans, I think they're going to be good. Sometimes I might leave the tubes out just in case I need to touch them up, but if I think they're going to be good, then they go into this container that has all the non-iridescent Daniel Smith colors. So these are all the colors that I actually have in pans. So anytime that I need to top a color up or anything like that, I'll just go in here, find the color, top up the pan. Now, as for the gouache colors, I have this new Magello palette. I'm not sure what this particular one is called, but it is the one with the 24 wells, I believe. The other one has 18. I'm pretty sure. So that's why I got this one, because I already had 20 gouache colors, so I needed the extra wells. Yeah, this is what it looks like so far. It's a little crumbly. I don't know why gouache likes to crumble so much more than watercolor, but it does, and it doesn't like staying put, which is why this palette always stays upright. Yeah, so for these ones, all I'm going to do is squeeze a bit into some of the empty wells. I know the purple should be over there, but I figured it was going to bother me less if I had the purples together than them being out of order. Because normally it would go yellows and oranges, reds, then purples, then blues, but the purples are hanging in this corner right now. So these ones I don't label. At some point I might make a swatch chart for this palette, but for right now it doesn't have a swatch chart. They're just chilling there. And I'm going to leave this open because it is one of those palettes that will keep everything wet, and I don't want it to stay wet. I want it to harden up. So yeah, that's how I organize tubes of paint to work for me. Hello again. Hopefully this isn't too angled because right now the camera is in a very precarious position because I'm using my GorillaPod that I normally have on this camera to film this week's art video. But yeah, I didn't really film anything yesterday because I was mainly just running around and doing errands for 6 hours. But the one exciting thing that I did do is I actually got some contact marble paper that I put on one of the desks that I just put into my studio. So that's basically the only thing that I did yesterday. And then after that at night I did work on painting a bit of this Friday's art video, which I'm still working on today. That's mainly what I'm doing today. I thought I'd just sit down and update you guys while paint is drying. On a side note, this is how the dried up gouache and watercolors are looking. The gouache is definitely all hardened, don't mind this red. Of course, right after I said, make sure if you're doing this, put it in a place where you're not going to hit it or do anything, I then stuck my thumb right into it. But the watercolor pans are still a little gummy, like I can press down and they definitely move still. So I'm going to let them sit here for a bit more. Like, they could definitely go into my palette, but I don't need the colors right now. So they're okay right now. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you. As you can see, like, all you have to do for the gouache and the watercolor is just reactivate it with water and you have yourself nice laid out paints. I just thought I'd pop on the end here because I just finished editing the vlog and I realized I never actually finished the vlog. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next week.